The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality for his people, and the last thing to do is to say thank you. All the time and effort in between, the leader is a chief servant, so says Max Dupree. And we concur. That's the summation of it, and that's how we talked about leadership yesterday when we focused on election 2023, the hangover. Today, we just tilted just a little to talk about leadership and followership. At some point in all of our lives, we would have been either or both. Welcome to Weekend Deal. My name is Thelma Obaza. Great to have your company on Weekend Deal as we talk about leadership and followership. And according to Maxwell, a leader is one who knows the way, shows the way, and then goes the way, leading his people in that right direction. Well, Francis presents a background feature. Let's see this and set the tone for our conversation today.
It was John Maxwell, a global leadership expert, who once said, "Everything rises and falls on leadership." It is against this backdrop that Weekend Deal seeks to further interrogate the concept of leadership and followership at the state and local government areas. What qualities should an aspiring governor or state assembly member possess?
A good leader should possess the quality of humility. A good leader should also be accountable because the position he occupies in trust on behalf of the people. A good leader should also be prudent with whatever resources that is available to him or her. A good leader should also be intellectually sound. This is to enable him abreast himself with conventional leadership pattern all over the world. A good leadership should also be humane, to have sympathy for people, your ability to fix yourself in the minds of the people, in the conditions of the people.
There seems to be too much attention at the center, at the expense of state and local governments in Nigeria. For instance, Nigerians focus so much on the presidential election, not remembering their states and local government performances can have a more direct impact on them.
The issues that played out in the national elections may not play out in the state and state governorship and houses of assembly elections. Because at that level, at the state elections, politics is clearly local. Candidates are going to be viewed from the kind of relationship they have with the electorate at that level, the party on which they are flying their interest, and their usefulness to the community or the constituent from where they are contesting election. As against the national election, which electorate voted based on the euphoria, on the movement, on the information available to them, even though they have not met some of these candidates one-on-one. The electorate know those whom they are going to vote for. The electorate have some kind of social or economic relationship with the people they are going to vote for. People at the local government do not even see the local government chairman and their councillors as people who are representing them.
Leadership is the ability to inspire, drive, and motivate a group of people towards a particular direction through inspiration, not intimidation or manipulation. But looking at it from a political angle, at what point should an individual aspiring for leadership position get involved?
If you study the history of successful presidents in the United States, you look at Barack Obama. He didn't just jump in there. He was a senator. You look at Joe Biden. He's been there within the corridors of power. You look at Hillary Clinton. She's been there and she has been struggling to be there. She has held different principal positions, Minister of State, and so on and so forth. So in our case, it's a serious precedent there is no mentorship. We ought to look back and ask ourselves, when the likes of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Saramado Bello, and Dr. Nwoke Okoye, Herbert Macaulay, these nationalists that we pride ourselves as founding fathers of this country, what were they known for? Most of them died in penury, but their name lives on. But today, give anybody a position of trust. What he never had in the whole of his XYZ number of years, you'll get it in 4 years. For us in this part of the world, we should develop the culture of grooming leadership and not people jumping into position of leadership as of convenience.
Followership is the other side of leadership, an indispensable aspect of leadership. Therefore, what do electorate expect from their leaders?
Electorate should look at leaders who has a mind to protect their interests. Electorate should look at leaders who have proven themselves as people of great influence around their vicinity or outside, because every leader should be able to influence development to his community. You don't just take development away, you also attract development to your community. Electorate should also look for sincere leaders who will be available for them when they need them, sincere leaders who will take decisions with the mindset of benefiting the electorate, and not leaders who are just there for the sake of being there, or who are just there for the purpose of enriching themselves.
The need for participation in political activities at the state and local government areas cannot be overstated. Therefore, our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on leadership in contemporary Nigeria.
To have effective followership, we must have a very effective leadership. And we did say earlier that at some point in time, almost all of us must have been either a leader or a follower or both at some point in our lives. So it's not a term or a phrase or a word that is unusual for us. While going to a very creative angle is something many Nigerians know about, but sometimes we don't pay attention to it. It's not in our fore, so perhaps we don't notice what is happening. Did you know that persons with disabilities have not only vied for positions in Nigeria, that is elected positions, some have held such positions and they say they have done well? Well, Magdalene did this research. Let's see what she brings to the table. According to statistics, approximately 27 million Nigerians are persons with disability. Over the years, people with disabilities have advocated for inclusion in every strata of the society, and this is gradually yielding fruits. It is the fundamental human right of every citizen of a country to vote and be voted for. It is in light of the above that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, made the 2022 electoral laws inclusive.
We are coming up. We have a situation where about 20 persons contested in the House of Assembly of the state, about 7 persons contested in the House of Representatives. One of our own, Lois Auta, had contested for the House of Representatives twice and have not made it. And now you will now wonder why.
Further research shows some people with disabilities indicated interest in the thus concluded 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. How far did they go? Any records of success stories?
For governorship, we have one person in Sokoto State. We have one person in Niger State. So if you put all this together, your guess is as good as mine that we still need room for improvement.
Many lament that issues confronting persons with disabilities in politics are numerous. Can you enlighten us on this?
The problem for persons with disability is access. There are people who are willing to participate. We have a lot of resources. We have people who are educated. We have people who are passionate about contributing their quota to the development of this country. we have people who have the resources, and then we have people who have the courage. But thanks to the disability law that is in place, buildings are already being remodeled, being amended to allow for participation.
Statistics shows that some people with disabilities have held political appointments both at the state and federal level. How will you rate their performance?
In the past, we have had a few persons with disabilities involved in elective position. We have Honorable Chaibu from Jigawa State contest for the House of Assembly, for House of Representatives, and he performed very well in the House. We have a couple of them. Then one other person from Zamfara State has also contested and won for House of Representatives. So the number of people like that who were in the legislatures and they performed wonderfully well. So now the thing is that they are supposed to be an encouragement or like an inspiration for the others.
As the world evolves, people with disabilities are still advocating for inclusion in public offices. They are calling on all stakeholders to give people with disabilities the opportunity to occupy government positions. They can perform excellently well, both intellectually and mentally, when a level playing field is created. Magdalene, great to give us more insight and clarity into what's happening around us. Sometimes we may ordinarily not pay attention to people with disabilities, persons rather. Dushima has been telling us the proper way to address persons with disabilities. Lois Auta is here with us. She's the president of the Network of Women with Disabilities. Great to have you on Weekend, and it's been quite a while.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks.
You've been busy with politics.
Yeah.
So how are you today?
I'm doing very well.
Great. So Magdalene gave us a foreword about what we can propel this conversation with, talking about persons with disabilities, and they want to give them a seat at the center table. What is your take?
Yes, it's a good step. We have been advocating for disability inclusion in electoral processes and political sphere. It's a good thing. We have many barriers that are stopping us. Infrastructural barrier, attitudinal barrier, and institutional barrier. We are very proud and glad that now we have a Disability Act. Now we have a National Disability Commission. But the issue is how many persons with disabilities have the opportunities to be elected to a public office. As it is, we are at a 0% level, and it is so sad.
Okay, but let's go to the past a little. We did hear that some persons with disabilities have not only run, they've been elected in Nigeria. Is that a fact?
Yes, that was in Jigawa.
Okay. Male, female?
Male. I only know one female.
Elected
and one
or
male
appointed?
Elected.
Okay.
Into the House of Assembly in Jigawa.
One term?
Many years ago, yes.
One term. Okay.
He couldn't go the second term.
He couldn't go?
Yes.
Or he wasn't...
he couldn't...
What stopped him?
He couldn't go the second time. He did not win. He contested again for the second time, but he did not win. So in 2023, we had 36 persons with disabilities that ran for elective positions.
That's this year?
This year.
Interesting.
2022/2023. And out of this number, none was elected. What were the factors? What happened?
Did you run?
Yes, I ran.
This year?
Yeah, I ran.
House of Reps?
House of Assembly in Kaduna.
Did you do your legwork?
Yes.
Did you go to the grassroots?
I went to the grassroots.
What about your support system?
Yes, we did our best. We did our best.
As best you
could. We consulted widely. Okay. I ran for House of Assembly in Kaura constituency.
Okay.
And out of 100 plus candidates in Kaduna State, I was the only female with disability and another male with disability. So 2 of us were in Kaduna State that ran for House of Assembly.
Did the man win?
No, he did not.
So tell us the mitigating factors. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yes, one of the major factors is attitudinal barrier. Many of us see our disabilities first before our presence. The capacity, the competency, the character in us. People do not see that. They first of all see the disability. And what can she offer? What is her qualification? What is her relationship with people? What are her antecedents? All these questions are key and critical. And when it comes to believing in the competency of persons with disabilities, we have the abilities, we have the capacity.
But let me come in here just to, you've listed a number of things. Those things you listed, are you saying that they limited you or they propelled you? Because you have antecedent.
Yes, I have antecedents. That is why I said attitudinal barrier, perception of people.
Okay.
They prefer people without disabilities than people with disabilities because they did not believe in us. That's one. Secondly, inadequate funding. We could not compete with people without disabilities because some of them are more capable when it comes to funding.
They have financial
opportunities.
might.
Yes.
From our research, from our experience in life, we have come to see that obstacles are there for everybody, persons with disabilities or not. We saw major upsets in the elections, major upsets, and we're seeing a redesigning of the dimension and alignment of the thinking of people in Nigeria. Even if you see these things as obstacles, something tells me it's not as widely felt as your thoughts dictate. The wind of change is sweeping into Nigeria.
Yes.
Are you feeling it?
Yes, I'm feeling it.
Do you think it will come your way soon?
Yes, it will come.
Are you going to give up?
No.
Never.
I will still run.
Never. These obstacles, I just want you to tell Kaduna people how determined you are to bring the change for them that they seek.
Yes. For me to mention this, it comes from my heart, and I say it confidently that Kaduna people have missed. They have missed.
Just a bit for now. You're coming again.
Yes, I'm coming again. The obstacles, the barriers, the challenges will never stop me. They will never deter me from running again.
Interesting.
I will still run again.
Interesting.
Until I get to the parliament.
You will be there. But let's talk about other persons with disabilities. Now, there are quite a number in Nigeria. Can you give us a rough estimate of how many people?
Yes, according to the World Bank in 2015, we have over 20 million persons with disabilities in this country. Having said that, 87,362 were able to register in the INEC continual voters registration that was done between 2021 and 2022. That is a good step. Now we are in the database of INEC. Out of this 87,362 that registered, only 32,000 came out to vote in 2023 elections. So
the number further reduces.
Yes, it reduced because of logistics.
Yes.
Some people registered in Amak. Due to accommodation problem, they left Amak to Gwagwalada. So you cannot expect a person with disability in Gwagwalada to come back to Amak and cast their vote because there was restriction of movement on election day. And if the person does not have a mobility, how can she move from her house to the voting center?
But can I tell you what those people who, in your words, are complete, that you say they look at persons with disabilities and say many of them may not be able, can I tell you what some of them may be thinking? They'll be asking themselves, these are the people that say they want to occupy office. These people say they have what it takes, they are able, they are competent. If they can't even vote their own or even come out en masse to vote, how then can we even be assured that they have what it takes to lead in any capacity? We know there are challenges. Perhaps what you and your team, your networked team will be thinking now is, this, you have to be ahead, 100 steps ahead, so that you can surmount, because you can surmount. You do know that.
Yes.
If you persist and you continue to remind people of your competencies and you stay active, even while you're talking with them, you will be in the face of the world and they will see that Lois has got something to offer us. Keep telling, keep speaking.
Yes.
But in the meantime, it can't just be you, Lois, we're seeing. We need to see those who are behind you. Where's the team that will rally? They must vote. They must come out. And between 2023 and 2027, a game plan must be put together.
Yes.
That is workable. What do you think?
Yes, we need to start the campaign early. We need to set up a campaign team and also source for funding online and offline.
Were you to have clinched that ticket now in Kaduna State, and you know there was somebody who was in that seat before, you must have seen a gap and then you said, let me step in. What would Lois Alta, you said they have missed, but we know it's not a permanent missing because Lois is coming back. What would you have put in place? Just one thing. Just tell us one gap you identified and what Lois would have done differently, such that you catch the attention and the support of the people, even those who may not have voted for you. Everybody will start to rally.
Yes, education is very, very key and important in everybody's life. If I did not go to school, you wouldn't have invited me to the studio this morning. So one of my key agenda is education. And when we talk about education, we're talking about inclusive education for all.
It's been great listening to you. We need to wrap up our conversation now, but your message has been heard. I want to urge you not to dim your light. Don't underestimate the capacity or the strength of your voice.
Thank you so
and
much.
And the level or the leverage that the little imprint you have made, and those who have caught on. People are hearing, they are listening, they are watching. Some people believe in you. It takes you to keep reminding them of where they want to go, that they may not have the time to go, and how Lois Alta is willing, determined, and committed to take them there. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
We wish you all
Thank
the
you
best.
very, very much.
And truly we believe in you. We believe you have what it takes. Okay. Okay. You're watching Weekend Deal. We've been talking with Lois Alta. Lois Alta ran for the
House of Assembly
in Kaduna State. Although she did not make it this time, she's not daunted. She says she's going to do it again and again until she gets there, and pulls many others along with her. We'll take a break now. We urge you to stay with us and keep your messages coming in. Please don't go away. It's great to have you accompany your Weekend Deal. We're about to say Lois Alta bye-bye, but I just got one message. In fact, there are several, but I said I'll take this one because the young man is from her area. In fact, he's from our local government area of Kaura in Kaduna State. It says, hello, Weekend Deal. I love watching your program, but today, what you're doing with Lois Alta means a lot to us in Kaduna State. And we truly believe in her. And we believe that she should remain determined that one day her dream will come true. I need to know who you are so I can tell Lois that you reached out to her and tell her who you are. Well done, Lois.
So
see, people are watching you and they wish you well.
Thank you.
Lois
Thank you.
Alta, President, Network of Women with Disabilities. We thank you for being a part of Weekend Deal today. So now we go to Lagos. Okay, our next feature is talking about the vibrance of grassroots politics, and Uju, our producer today, put this together. Do watch.
A new dynamic in election of leaders is seen in the 2023 elections in Nigeria. Youth participation on the rise. It is an activity in which every 4 years Nigerians who have come of voting age exercise their franchise. The level of electorate's awareness is key to choosing who occupies the driver's seat at the different arms of the nation's governance.
The people at the grassroots level are people who largely, follow leaders. Either they come from the middle class or they come from the upper class. And their role is very fundamental. Fundamental in the sense that, if you are talking of democratic politics to select leadership in any society, these are the people who will actually weigh in on the process of a selection.
Grassroots politics is actually plays a very critical and pivotal role in the emergence of any candidates, and also in political life of any country. The reason is that politics is all about people, and everybody belongs to a particular area. Who are the grassroots we're talking about? These are people that live in a particular community that has interest and engage in political process, because that process affects their life.
Leadership is a call to service, which, if delivered as and when, is usually rewarded with a ticket to say continue by those who are led.
Before you come into politics, they should actually judge you by your track record. So they are being swept off means that they have nothing to show. They have not actually carried the people along, and they have not, left a legacy for themselves to be re-elected. So the grassroots, that is how powerful they are becoming.
Non-performance, therefore, leave incumbents at the people's mercy as their seats are put to the polls, where some end up losing to co-aspirants who, by the electorate, may be perceived to perform better.
Actually, I'm very happy that the grassroots has woken up where they can hold their representative accountable, whether it's a governor, whether it's a rep, whether it's a senator, whether it's a local government chairman or councillors. There is a big awareness, and that comes from the position of the suffering of the people. They have now known that, look, things can be better if we have somebody who cares about us, who cares about our interests, who knows that, look, we need water, which is our basic necessity, we need good roads. So the grassroots are involved right now because people are tired of suffering, and they want to ensure that they elect people who will actually represent them well.
Women are not left out completely, even though there is still a wide margin between the male and female folks' inclusion into political leadership of the Nigerian nation.
Let's also try to include the female gender as belonging to this grassroots, because even though we have women who belong in the the upper class, those who are in the middle class, because they have not shown sufficient interest, or have not largely mobilized themselves, or they have not been given the opportunity by men, you discover that the women have very low rate of performance or participation in Nigerian politics.
I have a concern on that, but I'm hoping too that even in the positions that are not going to be elective, that the governments and the incumbent governments or the incoming government will actually factor more women in, because I believe we need women. You could see what happened when Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was in charge. A lot of things were done differently.
It is a wake-up call, therefore, for the leader and the led to ensure that leadership of the nation meets the needs of Nigerians.
Interestingly, Uju has thrown more light on the vitality, the vibrance that grassroots politics brings to any political framework. And in fact, the phrase that is trendy right now is that all politics is local. So if they don't know you down there, if you don't know them, how far really can you go? And that's how we touched down in Lagos, where they are now going a step further now. You want to run for office. You want people to come out to elect you. Now they're asking you, do you have the qualities that the leader we want needs? Lagos, what did you find?
Come 29th May, a new government will be sworn into office to steer the wheels of our great country, Nigeria. In a state like Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the nation, with a population of over 22 million, the electorate look forward to a leader who would meet the yearnings of the people. Our crew went out to speak to some Lagosians who have enumerated the qualities that the next governor of Lagos and anyone aspiring for the position should possess.
Anybody that wants to rule Lagos State should have the interests of the people at heart.
We still want a governor that is a unifier.
As for me, a governorship candidate should be accountable and have integrity.
There are about 16 candidates from different political parties contesting the 2023 gubernatorial election in Lagos State and in other states of the Federation. Some of them share their opinion on what is expected from a governorship candidate.
We cannot afford to put Lagos, on a backward trajectory. It can only be governed and run by people that have capacity, that have competence, and that have the capability.
The first thing is that the parent that had that one, and that every Lagosians have a right to these states. No discrimination. Must have that mind that these people, I am servant, I'm to serve them. A servant leader.
Those of us who have something to contribute in terms of character, in terms of competence, a track record of leading with integrity, should come to the table.
A governor needs to understand that he is the employee of the people, not the employer of the people. He's the employee. And to a large extent, people can call you to a town hall.
It is pertinent to note that for the expectations of people to be met, Nigerians must shun ethnicity in their selection of those to govern them, and also voting may not necessarily be along party lines. But in selecting a good candidate that meets their aspirations, it should be based on the 4 C's, which is capacity, competence, character, and compassion. Any leader with these qualities will definitely make the difference in office. As you know, your vote is your voice.
That's from Lagos there. We're identifying and articulating the qualities that a leader who wants to move his people from one level to another ought to possess. In fact, we further hear that you don't need a title to really excel or lead people. Let's welcome, I would say, one of our own, because first, the Nigerianness in him is what has kept this connection going. I've known Linus for over 2 decades. It's great to have you on Weekend Deals. Linus Okorie is the CEO of Gotney Leadership Center, a leading leadership coach, not just on the continent, but Linus has gone global. He's done work on the continent and other parts of the world. It's great to have you on Weekend Deal.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here. Great people of Nigeria.
You know, when we talk about leadership, oftentimes we're looking at somebody who holds a position.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really it?
So I would like to talk about leadership from the point of the conceptual framework of leadership. In fact, it was Dr. Miles Monroe, one of the biggest names in leadership development in the world, who defined leadership as the ability to influence, motivate, drive a people towards a particular direction via inspiration, not intimidation or manipulation. At the heart of that definition, it means that a leader is somebody who has the capacity to influence, motivate, drive a people towards a particular direction via inspiration, not intimidation or manipulation. So, which means that you don't have to occupy a position
per
se to be called a leader. If it could be a head of a family, it could be an individual who has this capacity to influence people as a result of his emotional intelligence or emotional intelligence. What happens is that he gains respect, or she gains respect. People start following that individual.
and then we can begin to say, look at his or her antecedents.
Absolutely.
That's where office, either appointed or elected, can come in.
Absolutely.
They will say, when he was this,
yes,
this was what he did.
Absolutely.
That is why at this time,
yes,
he or she may be the person that we need. Now, what motivates leaders to do better? Because if we say we're looking for a leader in any sphere, we want somebody who is going to bring about change. Even if things are good, people seek better. And if things are not, they want it to be good for them.
So interesting thing is that every leader, has what drives him or her. And purpose is a driver for leadership. Because if a man doesn't have a reason for waking up, sleeping becomes interesting.
Indeed.
So when an individual is hungry to impact, to make a difference, to serve society, it becomes a driver for growth. So when you find leaders who are committed in their hearts, there's a dream to turn around their environment, societies, to change the way their organizations are performing. Let's even say an individual who is born in poverty and he has a desire to turn around the situation of his family, and he decides to have a vision for the future. That vision that he sees about transforming his family fortunes will drive him to actually begin to prepare himself, groom himself, invest in himself, and stretch and begin to mobilize all the resources he needs, begins to work with other people to achieve his objective. But if an individual is driven to serve, it's a different approach.
Definitely.
That individual begins to try to get other people to see the value he brings to the table.
Let me ask you something. Is it all leaders with a good purpose who succeed? We see people who have the best of intentions, but sometimes people just can't wait to say, okay, thank you, how are you, fine, bye.
Well,
people are saying a leader must be able to compromise. That it's not, you can't just say it's white or black. You must have an in-between. Tell us about that. No, the
truth of the matter is that being good, a good person does not mean that you'll be a great leader. All right? Being good is one of the competencies of leadership. There are other competencies a leader must own. For instance, a leader must have the capacity to execute a vision. So a leader is an executor. So when somebody is good, he has the capacity to actually formulate a vision. He has a vision. He's driven. There are people who are good, not driven. And he has a vision, and then he has the capacity to mobilize other human beings who have different talents to come to work with him to achieve the goal. So he has the capacity to work effectively with other people. He has emotional intelligence to recognize the welfare, the needs of others, to recognize that there are different temperaments in the room. And he has the emotional intelligence to work with people based on those temperaments.
Not through intimidation.
Not through intimidation or forcing people to get things done. So that emotional intelligence, and to take it further, executive intelligence. Executive intelligence.
But now we hear about social intelligence.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
A new dimension.
These are the ability to interact with all manner of people, the ability to work with difficult people, the ability to work with familiar people, the ability to work with, all manner of people. The leader must have that patience to be able to deal with these dynamics. But the interesting thing is that the ability to also put meritocracy. The leader who wants to make a difference understands that, hey, wait a minute, I'm not going to bring somebody who is my friend because he's my friend and give him a sensitive position. Right? What I would do is that I would promote meritocracy. And that is why the importance of training, research is critical for leadership. In fact, you can find a good person who doesn't have capacity to learn, capacity to stretch, and we're in a knowledge-based economy. As I'm talking to you right now, do you know that the world today is a global village? Distance is dead completely. And because this is dead completely, anybody who is a Nigerian right now and you're occupying a public position, your competition is no longer local. Your competition is international.
Indeed.
And because it's international, you must, on a daily basis, understand the dynamics of the changes that are occurring in the global environment. So you must catch up with time.
So you're not left behind.
You must not be left behind. So
I want to ask you about executive intelligence.
Yes.
We're about to say that the fire chief team is social intelligence. Please give us a small brief on that. Let's take our next feature.
So executive intelligence specifically has three major components. And the first is that the ability of a leader to assemble very sensible and courageous men and women around him. You understand what I'm saying? So he's not afraid of intelligence of other people. So, he welcomes people's feedback that, people will be able to say to him, you're wrong. And he has a humility to actually step down his own view, his own ideas for other people's ideas to thrive. But we have a situation whereby leaders know they are wrong. But because of ego, they stay on that path. And at the end of the day, it will cost the system so much money in terms of loss. So executive intelligence is the ability for a leader to work with different ranges of people, and guess what, and he loves to be able to identify their strengths and work with them. So that is something that is lacking within our systems. Some parts. Okay, you're watching Weekend Deal. We're talking with Linus Okorie. We'll go to Makurdi now, where they're talking about leadership. Let's see how that we add some verve to our conversation.
Good leadership is a functional drive of every society.
Leadership is supposed to be very responsive as well as followership.
Leadership and followership, however, go pari passu as both depend one on another to achieve value. A critical look at today's politics shows a disconnect between present-day leadership and its followership. This is evident in the socio-economic and political well-being of the electorates, who are the engine of the same society they are part of.
The followership in Benue has been that of the one that wants to follow a very responsive leadership. But unfortunately, they don't see that kind of leadership that they want to be able to follow diligently.
My expectation is that it is from the general followership that leaders are drawn. So followership also needs to have an understanding of what leadership is all about, so that when they are sent to certain offices, they can do the needful in those offices. So I think that our followership also need an orientation. And of course, it is the responsibility of leadership to help develop the followership.
Paul Wellstone adds his voice that one amongst the three critical ingredients to cementing good leadership, democratic renewal and progressive change, is good public policies, electoral politics and grassroots organizing, as this alone is capable of changing the world. Grassroots politics occupies a place of pride in modern-day democracy, and so the voters should not only be remembered by the voted only during electioneering campaigns.
If you have an ambition to come out to lead a particular group of people, you need to be good to them.
The majority of the people who were returned elected have scholarship mostly at the grassroots.
Remember, democracy, it's not about the self. Democracy itself speaks about government of the people, for the people and by the people. So if the people have elected to choose you, it's a big trust. It's not about you. It's a very heavy trust and a very heavy moral burden.
Thus, both the voters and the voted say it is more ideal to remain in constant touch with the people at the trenches, as this helps identify key areas of interest, development, and harmony between the leadership and its followership.
That package is from Makurdi, that's talking about Benue State, and we got to see the governor-elect, a Reverend Father. And it talks about when people choose to elect you, because they have other options, they are placing you in a position of trust. Linus, tell us more. When people elect you, they are saying, we trust you to deliver on your promises and to do different from those who murdered our trust. Tell us about that. From the point they trust you,
Yeah, absolutely.
What are their expectations of you?
So the moment people sincerely and genuinely remember, not when you force yourself on the people, when people genuinely on their own, they elect you, what they have placed on you is trust. That trust for you will become a burden. The burden, it becomes something that you must do not to disappoint them. So what it means is that the leader is now having a sense of urgency. There's a drive to do everything in his or her power to ensure that those things that the people require, you even go above board to ensure that you make their life better. So what it means is that, take for instance, a governor who has been given the mandate of the people. That governor knows that his job is not to every day come to Abuja and be, traveling everywhere, wasting resources. He knows that the responsibility he has in his hand is to ensure that the welfare of the people of the state is guaranteed. And then he must also think and know that he will not depend on state resources, the resources that come from Abuja alone. So the governor will have to sit down and with his team and creatively, innovatively, begin to find other sources of revenue that can add value to the state. He might begin to think about partnerships, collaborations with institutions that are within or without. How can my people get better? So his mind is not what party do I attend. His mind is not, where do I travel to buy a house.
That's our hope and our continued prayer. The submissions are coming in about leadership and expectation of the people. Yesterday we talked about not too young to run, and the bill's been passed. We've been seeing some upsets. So Solomon Chibuikem from Bayelsa State is talking about the ability of young people to bring change. He says their ideas are fresh, their memories are vibrant, and they are not afraid to make mistakes and take responsibility. And they don't mind being corrected where they err. That's coming from Solomon. Any comment on that?
So, but the interesting thing is that I believe in the principle of, young people actually, running for political offices. But I've always wanted a balance.
Okay.
And that balance has always been, when you say young people, you have to talk about young people prepared, groomed. Young people that have been groomed, that have been prepared, that have certain competencies that if you throw them up in the political space, because of those core values that they have, they will be able to, make a big difference. There are a lot of young people, who have also, been thrown up in the political space. And these young people, some of them who lack core values, they became a disgrace, to young people in the context.
They should be groomed.
So I'm talking about grooming. That's why, it is my request. I've always said it, that we must place priority on investing in the leadership capital of young people. It must be a priority for every state government, every local government, every national government to put in budgets for deliberate investment in the leadership capital of young people. And the American government spends a lot of money, in fact, sometimes $160 billion every year to invest in the leadership capital of their young people. That's why for a child who is in primary school, you already see that he's already attending leadership programs. Secondary school,
they build leaders. Okay.
So if you don't invest in building patriotic leaders who have capacity to serve, if you don't start early to do that, then you won't be able to have a pool of credible young people groomed over a period of time. In Nigeria, some of the young people who are making a difference in this country right now are young people who decided by themselves
to be trained,
to stretch themselves. I was 19 years old when I started my own training. I started training myself, and it's 27 years now, like stretching, traveling over the world and things like that. It's been work. So, but imagine if this country provided opportunity for young people at very, early ages to begin to learn leadership. So you realize that our leadership challenge that is big right now would have been resolved long time ago.
Interesting. Very, very interesting and workable and relatable. I want to thank you, Linus Okorie, CEO, Gutney Leadership Center, and a leading leadership coach not just on the African continent, but is making waves globally as well. Thank you for coming on Weekend Deal today. There are many messages for you, but we must touch base with Lena now because she's been focused. This is not too young to run bill. How did it pan out? We saw some upsets. What else is new?
Not Too Young to Run is an act of parliament which is sought to reduce the age limit of running for elective offices in Nigeria.
Before now, youths in Nigeria are now allowed to aspire politically. We started the Not Too Young to Run movement to ensure that young people have the legal, regulatory, and institutional means to participate in elective position. To run for president before now, you have to be 40 years and above. To be a sitting, serving governor and senator, you have to be 35 and above. For you to run as a House of Rep member or a State Assembly member, you have to be 30 and above. What we did was to work with lawmakers from the both chambers to introduce a constitutional amendment bill.
The bill was first read at the House of Representatives and was passed with votes of 86 to 10 in the Senate on 26 July 2017 and 261 to 23 in the House of Representatives on 27 July 2017. The bill passed first and second readings in the Nigerian Parliament and was presented to the Committee on Constitutional Review.
Just to take you through the journey, for you to get the Constitution of Nigeria amended, you have to get the House of Representatives and the Senate to pass a bill. This bill would then be harmonized and then passed again in the House of Representatives and the Senate, and you need two-thirds majority. Now, you have to now transmit the bill to the state houses of assembly in Nigeria, which are 36. And each of the state houses of assembly, you need two-thirds majority to vote yes for it. After which they will now transmit it back to the National Assembly and then take it to Mr. President to sign into law. And this is a rigorous process because we are trying to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
However, with the enactment of the new law, the age requirements for candidates seeking a seat in the Senate and House of Representatives, which are currently set at 35 years and 30 years of age respectively, have been reduced by 5 years each.
What we seek to achieve was to amend the Nigerian Constitution to allow for a 35-year-old to run for the office of the President, Senate, and Governor. A 25-year-old to run for the office of the House of Representatives, both at the state level and federal level.
The importance of youth inclusion in politics cannot be overemphasized.
It's very important that every youth should be involved in politics, one way or the other, either directly or indirectly. And directly, I mean, you go out, you join political parties, you work on yourself as well. And I also believe we are not too young to rule. Some people are actually there, but because they don't have this, financial capacity or godfathers behind them, they are not able to go to the forefront.
I strongly believe that the youths of Nigeria should be given the opportunity to run for offices. A lot of youths today have got wide experiences. They've got the skills. They are very much abreast with the 21st century needs and demands.
When we were in school those days, they used to tell us that we are the leaders of tomorrow. And then these days you find out that we have gone to school, we have done marvelously well, and we are still in one place, we are not growing because the elderly are not allowing the youth to grow. They suppress us, they don't allow us to show our power, they don't allow us to show our talent. I think it's not really good and it's not helping the country, and that's why we are remaining where we are today.
For political systems to be representative, all parts of society must be included.
One gift that President Muhammadu Buhari gave our generation in this very emerging and young democracy is accepting to this bill.
To make a difference in the longer term, it is essential that young people are engaged in formal political processes and have a say in formulating today's and tomorrow's politics.
I heard a young lady there talking, perhaps with Lena, and she says that they were told that they were leaders of tomorrow at some point, and then it's been so many tomorrows, and some people have not been given the leadership position. But does she know that you are not given? You seek to take, and then you must impress upon the voting populace that you are capable and competent. and able, and that you have innovation, and that's when and only when you will be put in a position of leadership. So young lady, in fact, everyone, follow the trend. Tell them what you've got, keep pushing, and then people will take notice and perhaps give you an opportunity to lead. You are watching Weekend Deal. We'll take a break now. Recently, we lost one of our own at the Nigerian Television Authority, a man who has made great impact on so many of us. And he was an assistant director of marketing. His name was Idris Nuhu. Although he's been interred, we remember him in a very special way today on Weekend Deal. May his gentle soul rest in peace. They say to live in the hearts of those who love you is never, ever to die. He will always be remembered. We want to take one or two messages. We appreciate your sending them in. Our friend from Benin, you didn't say your name. You said a leader is somebody who inspires passion and motivation in his followers. A leader is someone with a vision and the path to realizing it. A leader is someone who ensures their team has support and tools to achieve their goals. Adamu Usman is from Gombe, Adamawa State. He says he enjoyed Weekend Deal very much this Saturday and Sunday and was very impressed with Lois Auta's determination to bring about change in her constituency in Kaduna State. He's urging Lois not to give up. It's been great having your company on Weekend Deal, as always. When we gather like this together, it's your input, it's your analysis, it's your real life experiences that make it worth all the while. Do keep a date with us again and next week, and not to forget, leaders oftentimes are only as good or as competent or as efficient as their followers are. God bless Nigeria. One of us here, it's Bye.